Hey, J-Bone Nation! Shaming of Jay. He's not a dopey dumb bitch. He gets laid. The court jester, the court DJ. It's time to dive into the case. To the case.
What is up, everybody?
Hey, everybody.
Thanks so much for being here for our inaugural edition of Creators Who Crush. Creators who we think are just crushing the game. I thought of this idea. We were just like Women Who Rock. We took the dogs for a walk, and then I came home like we have to have an interview series, and we gotta start talking about some creators who we think are freaking awesome, and we think Catch_list Catch Long Island serial killer Raul is absolutely awesome, and we really wanted to share him with everyone and share his work. Babe, I mean, what do you think?
Well, I mean, first of all, the very first time that I clicked on Raul's profile on Twitter, and I first clicked into the map, I just was astounded because it looks like when you're like watching a like Criminal Minds episode, and like the little nerdy person like brings up the thing and you can see all the things, but then they tell you that really can't exist, but it does exist because he is doing it. And that is seriously what it reminded me of. I'm like, oh my gosh, someone can do all this data. And so it's just amazing to me. It blows my mind every time I look at it.
And he messaged us before and said, "I apologize in advance for my potty mouth or my tears." And I said, "Sir, have you seen our stream?" Which he has. That's me pretty much every other day. So without further ado, we have Raul, researcher, advocate, data geek. Here he is, folks. What's up, Raul? How you doing?
I am nervous still, despite the warm up, but I'm very grateful. I'm very humble. I'm not ignorant of the fact that sharing platforms and getting, acknowledgement voices or visualizations for victims of, murder or missing or unidentified, it's important that we all leverage our platforms and bring awareness to to this plight and do whatever we can as people who care or relatives or families or advocates or just somebody that cares about somebody else in just the simplest terms and does whatever they can within their skill set to elevate and enhance awareness of every other person watching or reading or clicking to somebody else's tragedy and doing something to maybe drive the needle a little bit. So there you go.
Well, I just put in the chat both the Twitter and the link tree. Make sure you're following on Twitter and check out. We're gonna go through it, folks. Don't worry. There's so much that he's doing.
There's a lot.
It's a lot of hard work. So before we get into everything, first of all, I want to say we kind of found out about you, or we knew about you, but then we had Carrie on. We were talking about the Beliefnik case, and Carrie Rawson was like, "You guys need to go to Raul's map," and we're like, "All right." And then we also know there's a connection with Lauren Lee Malloy. So tell the folks first of all, just tell them who you are, where you're from, give them a little background, and then kind of how you got connected with those folks.
So yeah, I mean, we'll start closer before we backtrack. And Lauren reached out to me randomly and said that she had a map of some Rhode Island cases, and then sort of read me into her mom's case, and I was floored. I mean, if I'm already gonna get emotional. If you know Lauren's story, like you're compelled instantly. And you're committed to her fight, and you're an instant advocate on behalf of, her mom, and you're team sled dog, like, right away. There is no initiation fee. You just got to care, and even read. And Lauren, I asked her permission to incorporate her map onto my own map, which I had been working on since May of 22. And I incorporated her map and her, I hate saying data points, because each data point is a person and a life and a memory. But to simplify just the conversation, each person that Lauren had on her map, I added to mine. I layered in a couple extra, in some cases, some extra research links, and so on and so forth. Um, and then I felt like I was instantly Team Sled Dog. And Lauren has been such an incredible inspiration. Like, Lauren's an inspiration. She's a magnet. She's a fire. And it's just a beautiful thing to even know this person, to know her mom. So from Lauren, suddenly I found myself connecting to Kerry, and what Kerry's done for me was help me to understand, because my focus has been on victims, list victims, victims of murder, and Kerry helped me to understand that people like Kerry, children of killers, serial killers, are victims in and of themselves. And that, as a very empathetic person myself, that elevated my awareness. And that is a gift that you can never really understand, really repay. But her giving me that gift of awareness of what she went through, or her brother went through, or her mom or her family went through, and understanding that dichotomy, that, her dad is this, but her dad is still her dad. And I think whenever Kerry texts or posts, I key into dad in lowercase, or dad with a capital D, and then I differentiate, what she's meaning. Sort of like what she says, dad before, dad after. And you guys know that. And, to elevate my platform, which was predominantly Lisk, and then Possibles, to branching out to such a, in my opinion, a greater, bigger level, was more of an honor than I was initially prepared to handle. So I'm honored. I'm blessed. The people that I've grown to know and care and love about, and their stories and their families, mean more to me than my real job. But I hope my boss isn't watching.
Well, that I think leads into your question, right, babe?
Yes. So you said you started doing your map in 2022. What was it that just what was that day like? You thought, I'm going to do this. I just got to know, how did you get into this?
I'm glad you asked that, because the impetus, the motivation for this map was, um, and I'm not going to share who this person is, but this person means probably more to me than anybody, in this research community. This person has been such a staunch, under the radar advocate. Her brilliance, her genius in researching, her fearlessness, her inquisitiveness, inspired me in more ways than anyone else. And she had wanted to get herself to a place where she can create this map to help understand or visualize the Long Island serial killer, the victims, the potential victims, and it was just, there's so much to do with so little time or so little resources. So it became a matter of me admiring this person's work ethic, commitment, dedication, that I wanted to help this person. Like that became, for probably the better part of a year, all I wanted to do. I wanted to assist and help and facilitate whatever this person needed in order to drive her research. I believed in her. I still do. And I admire her just about more than anybody on this planet. So the map became that. It became something for her to reference, to utilize, to visualize. And it started off with, of course, Shannon Gilbert, who, um, the catalyst for all things Lisk, um, really propelled me. All right, I'm back.
Don't worry.
So,
Hey, do not worry. We already have Mandy in here saying we love men who cry. I cry on here all the time. I should have recommended what I do, which people recommended to me, which is crying gum. If you have any gum around, throw a little gum in. Sometimes it helps. But don't you worry. Take a breath. And while we're waiting, you're going to tell a story. Let me pull up this map. I'm curious. How many hours do you think? I mean, you probably have no idea that did you put into this amazing. Guys, this map is so legit. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut off your story. Go ahead, continue your story. I'm sorry.
no, it's all good. I do want to acknowledge Shannon Gilbert was the very first person I put on the map. Um, Without Shannon's, I hate saying sacrifice because it wasn't a willing choice for her. But without Shannon Gilbert, the map wouldn't be, a dozen Liz victims wouldn't be, Rex Heuermann might not be arrested, and we might not be in this position. So Shannon Gilbert, and her family will remain forever to me, one of the most important things that I could ever do for anybody. So Shannon was the first person I put on the map. And that map has gone through, before you see it now, has gone through about 9 different iterations of it. I mean, you see, so Google Maps only gives you 10 layers. And my first layer were maybe locations. So there was not Suffolk County, Nassau County, Brooklyn, Queens, New York City, blah, blah, blah. And that became really irrelevant fast. Some of my friends that I speak to, like Peter Vronsky, who has done so much work, you know, getting, serial killer Richard Cottingham to talk, and you know, Peter had told me that for him, the way I had it initially isn't viable, and he needed something more congruent. So then I changed the iteration to decades. So I started off with the 60s through 60s through 70s, 70s, blah 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 blah, all the way up, and that became a a commitment that has become, I I can't get away from it. So to have, and there are many other maps like mine. There's a map that is absolutely outrageously beyond, like, but I think they have a team of at least 6 or 7 people actively working on their map, but it is not as updated as mine is. There are resolved cases that are not acknowledged, whereas on mine they are. I put in any type of modifications that I catch on NamUs. I added to my map. So as far as I can see, and I'm not patting myself on the back, my map is singularly current in many facets of the word current. And it is by no means complete. It'll never catch up to anything. My map has about 5,800 plus people on it. Somewhere on my notes, there's an exact number, 5,829. Okay, 5,829. And that's nothing to be proud of. I wish my map was utterly irrelevant and useless. Um, but in a big scope of it, that map is critical and important. And utilizing that map can bring matches to unidentified. It can bring names to people that have no names for years. I just submitted somebody the other day that, because of the map, because my map is chronological, whereas no other map is. So an unidentified person that I may have put in from some random state, let's just say 1989, I may find a missing person that gets put onto NamUs today, tomorrow, whatever, from that time period, and I chronologically place them in that line. Then you can really see something. So the other day, I realized that I had an unidentified on the map for a while, and there was a NamUs missing person put up. This person was an elderly man from the Bronx who was last seen in 1981, I believe. Forgive me if I don't have it right. But this unidentified was found the same day, April 1st, 1980. I think it's 1981, from the Bronx to Brooklyn. And I was able to determine based on the locations that the train, the number 2 train from the Bronx, goes right to the same place in Brooklyn, and this elderly person most likely jumped in front of the train and took his own life. And so I submitted that because there's nothing else similar. The age was similar, although NamUs doesn't always have exact information because they're not always given the exact information. But this is another solid comparison that I think will be resolved. So that would, if that goes through, it'll be the 6th confirmation from the map, although 3 right now are unofficial because there are active investigations happening. But they own my soul. So I'm going to take a deep breath to let you guys talk for a minute because,
Well,
wow.
while you take a deep breath, I just want to highlight some comments. Fuzzy Pup says, "This is amazing. I am blown away." Dana Paul says, "When I had talked about how many hours, my guess thousands of hours." And then Viv says, "Art with Viv." The Vivster says, "Pat yourself on the back. This map is an amazing feat and tons of work." And that's what we're here because you are crushing it, sir, and you deserve the recognition. When I tweeted it out, and the amount of people that are like, they were so happy that you were getting on here and doing this, because you should be proud because this is really quite amazing. So, but go ahead, babe. I feel like you probably had something.
I just think that I know that it probably feels somewhat weird to, accept recognition for it because of the nature of it. But what's so wonderful is the spirit in which you created it and your heart that you poured into it. Like, you're not calling the people data points. You're not thinking of them that way when you are creating this, which makes it so different than something that AI could create or something that just a researcher that doesn't have that connection could create. And I just feel like you feel that when you look at this map. And so I think that cannot be understated, or it cannot be overstated, understated, whichever way. It can't be it. It can't be overstated.
I mean, you're right. I mean, in looking at many other maps out there for whatever spectrum they're investigating, there's checkpoints, there's the search icon, there's the traditional Google icon. But for me, like, these were people. These were people who had people that loved them, cared about them, wondered about them. And to me, that's why there's hearts on there, because they're people. They fucking mattered. And I warned that I have a potty mouth, and I'm only just getting started right now. But, these people fucking mattered. They mattered to the people who cared about them. And even if we don't know who they are yet, they matter. They matter to somebody like me. Some of the people I put on the map, I'm like looking at their NamUs page, and I'm like, I might be the only person that's looked at this person in a fucking decade. And how horrible is that? And I think that in and of itself is something that should be shouted out. Like, I would want my loved one to be remembered, to have somebody seeking, searching, advocating for their memory, for their honor, for their justice. And I'm certainly no Joan of Arc. Um, but I think once this map started to dominate my free time, and dominate, I hope my boss isn't watching, my work time, um, that, like, this map is bigger than me, and I'm obligated to continue this map. It can be, whatever, outlandish or silly, or bias confirmation, but like, I wake up every morning on my day off especially, and I open up my map, and yes, I'm a data geek, so I want to see where I ended the night before as far as views, and where I'm at in the morning. But that goes away so fast. It's like, where is this map taking me today? So even like today, I started. I'm actively working on completing all of New York missing. I'm up to as far as 1914 to 2006, I think, right now, and that's still another 15 years I have to go. But it's endless. New York is a behemoth, but even through doing New York, I got distracted, and because it something pulls to me, so I became lost in this world of going back to, advocating and getting trans victims on the map. And you look at, let's just take it back from a list perspective, being that these young people were alleged sex workers and disenfranchised and on the far spectrum of attention or care, but never the truth. Like, they were always loved and cared about, and you know gay and trans and victims in the sex industry, they need this attention. They deserve this attention. They're no different than any, and I'm not taking this from anybody else, there's any blonde-haired, blue-eyed person that's gone missing. I think people that know me know that I have a dozen different Facebook platforms, whatever, including some missing. I call them the BG10. They're Black Girls 10. They're Black and Hispanic girls that went missing from 1990 to 93. No images on their missing person profiles. They weren't even entered into name until 30 years later. There's nothing about them, and there's nobody advocating for them except for one victim, Tiffany Medea Dixon. But the other nine are out there alone, and I can't find anything about them, and that strikes such a chord with me that, if I have a minute, I'm gonna find a minute to occupy and search something, and that's where this map has so certainly devoured my time, because I'm committed to the BG10. I'm committed to Judith Velaz, who is so important to my soul and her family. I'm committed to every single attributed.
Uh-oh. Babe, you there? Uh-oh, did it go down? Hello?
Means nothing. It's Maureen. It's Megan. It's. Did you hear me? Am I still there?
Yeah, I can hear you, babe. Are you Babe?
Am I there, guys?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Are you calling me babe or no?
I can hear you, but I can't. Shannon's frozen. Can you hear me?
I hear
I'm
you.
You can hear me. Can folks in the chat hear us? It seems like it's freezing. It's back, my mom says. What? Yeah, babe, you hang up and come back. I can hear you, Raul. Let me get Shannon's gonna get you back. Sorry about that.
I'm
Hold on.
sorry. I mean, it's me. It's the internet telling me I talk too much.
No, it's
So
not. No, it's not. All right, Shan, you're back. I think we're back. Sorry about that.
Right.
We're all good. Everyone's good. We can hear us all right. I just want to make sure that.
yeah,
What I do want to pull up some highlights here while you were talking.
go ahead.
Steve says from Publicly Buzzed, when I first found this map, I was and am jaw dropped insane. Snazzy Trinkets Jewelry says Raul was so helpful to me and added my friend to his map when I reached out. Fuzzy Pup says he made them heart points, not data points. Sandra says now I need the crying gum. She's crying. And then Snazzy said again, everyone needs a Raul in their life. And then Catherine says, yes, you're speaking for victims that don't have advocates. So people really appreciate your work. And hopefully, I'm going to put it in the chat again. Make sure you're following on Twitter. Let me just put this in here again. SRB says, hey, I'm super impressed with this guy. You should be because he's awesome. So let me put this back in there. So I'm curious. Let's kind of break down the map. Like, if folks want to use this map, what do you think is the best way for them to use it, in like how to use it?
I think they should probably just focus on the area that interests them the most. Maybe it's probably something personal to them. I mean, that is ultimately how I even got involved with, LISC or advocacy. In the long term, it was because of proximity to where I used to live. I lived in Brooklyn, I lived in Oceanside, I lived in Long Beach, I lived out in Suffolk County. And then you realize so many of the places you lived or interacted with, had a victim or a missing person. So many times, especially in New York City in the 80s, I'd always have this trepidation. Like, I would make sure my girlfriend at the time, I became my first wife, like, meet me at the store before you met me at Port Authority. Like, you just didn't go to Port Authority in the 80s, unless you were packing something or, you were well versed in the street life. So, we would go visit my grandma in Jersey and take the bus over from Port Authority. But you would recognize that the Port Authority is not a safe place. It is not a safe place in the 80s. It is not a safe place in today's time frame. So it became proximity, it became relevancy. And then, for me in 2010, I was working in Long Island, in Manhasset, and you read things like Shannon Gilbert goes missing, and I mean, it's hard to read, but because it wasn't really out there. But by 2011, when when Maureen and Melissa, Megan, and Amber were found at GB4, then, like, you realize, holy shit, something serious is going on. And somebody like me, I've had a certain interest in, you know, I hate saying true crime, and I know there's three people right now watching this that are laughing because they call me a true crime expert, and I despise the phrase true crime. I really do. But to that point, for me, it's always been the psychopathy of what a serial killer is, what their origins are, and why, and the deep interest that I've had in that led me to a whole myriad of research on it well before I was aware that I was even into this nonsense. And then 2011 comes, and honestly, to some degree, a lot of my personal life changed because I just started reading more and absorbing more. And whether I absorbed reality or perspectives or innuendo or different people's opinions, suddenly changed in the last 4 or 5 years, where I realized there were Facebook groups on LISC, and LISC is a thing, and, like, what the fuck. And then, a researcher that I referenced earlier, had done so much other research, on potential victims, and then you realize that suddenly this isn't a little in enclosed thing. This isn't killer. This could very well be a prolific serial killer. Am I frozen?
You're okay. I think you keep going.
Uh, so from there, like I
You're
realized
back.
there's so much bigger, and I continue to just absorb information and do my own research on my free time. Whether I traveled for work all the time, so I always had my phone and I always researched things. And suddenly being asked to join a couple of Facebook groups, one in particular that literally changed my life and the direction of my life, and given me connections to really incredible researchers that are even worse than me. They don't want any. I despise this attention. I'm embarrassed by it's why I'm wearing a hat. Like if I could put my hoodie on, I'd hide completely. But like their research is impeccable. Their dedication is admirable, and I always want to emulate that. And from there, you realize you create a map like I have that completely got way ahead of itself. Like I'd never intended it to be all it is, but it dominated me, and it took over me. And then people like you referenced Snazzy, and Lisa's been such a dear friend, and one of many that have reached out to me to add their loved one to the map, and I'm humbled and I'm honored by that. And take this off. And it's really just a blessing to learn their loved one's story, their loved one's life, and to be a part of that camaraderie to someone that they cared about, and to put them on my map. I mean, the map is nothing. Like the map is inconsequential. It's the person's life that is impactful, that carries the weight of everything. And to add people that mattered to Lisa to the map, people you know all the way across the country in Oregon, where on October 15th they're doing a memorial for McKenna Riley. And McKenna's relatives asked me to add McKenna to the map. And anytime I'm asked to add to their map, I mean, I'm gonna be a sissy right now, but like as I learn them, I cry. I cry for, I can't even tell you how many times. Like I can research while tears are pouring down my face, but I'm still learning about their life. And it's for me, it's not a matter of putting them on a map. It's not a data point in a location, because that is disgusting and disrespectful. It's a matter of learning who McKenna was. What motivated her, what activated her life, and what were the circumstances around everything else pertaining to the rest of her life. So with McKenna, or with Beth, or with oh my God, there's so Amanda King in upstate New York. And like there's so many people that really deserve their own hour of attention, each one of them. And there's 5,800 people on the map. I mean, it's a behemoth endeavor, but the opportunity that you guys are giving me to just showcase this map means more to me on behalf of all of those people that I can't express. And I'm going to let you guys talk for a
Well,
few minutes while I just try to swallow
yeah, take a
the
drink.
lump in my
I,
throat.
I just want to say that, like, I think it means it shows a lot that you don't really want to do this. You're doing this to share this map so we can get this out. You would rather be behind the scenes, but you're coming on here because you want to share this for all those folks that you are working on, and that is just really admirable. I know you're saying like the map is nothing, but the map is a lot, and it's very evident, like Dana was saying, how much. Look, I mean, look at this freaking map. These are all points that he had to put in there, put in information. Each of these points are someone different. I mean, it's just the amount of work you did, and obviously it shines through that you care about every single one of them, and that means a lot. to a lot of people. So I know you're humble and you know, you're a humble guy, but like this is quite amazing. And it's really, you know, like what people are saying on Twitter, people deserve to share this out, and you deserve, you know, just to be recognized for what you're doing, because it's quite amazing. So I mean, it really, just looking at this map, it's like Steve said, it blows you away, the amount of work. And I understand where you're coming from. Like, you're doing this for folks, and it's not a data point. Each one is a person, and you're learning about these people, and you could tell it takes a toll on you. So for you to have, and you're doing this on your free time, you work. Like, this is like you know, you're working all the time, and then you're coming doing this, and you're crying, and I'm sure, you know, it takes a lot out of you. So like, I hope you realize how much all of us appreciate you for everything you do. And not only this, you know, on Twitter, you're always tweeting stuff where it just reminds us, like, let's take a step back here, and this is what we're looking at. And I always try, and, you know, by the way, folks, if you're following him, when he posts something, you know, retweet it, get it out there. We were talking about this before the show started. A smaller circle turns into a bigger circle, turns into a bigger circle. The more people that can see some of these things, the more chances that the person that you're looking for that needs to see it to find something is going to find it. But I feel like I've been talking now for a while. Babe, did you have something
Yes.
I did want to, do you want me to ask, you want to do Shannon's question? I could pull it up. Was that what you're going to do?
Yeah, I'm going to do my stuff and then we'll end with that.
Okay.
But I just want to say that as a person who you reached out to me after the show that I did about my friend Kelly, and you said, I'm going to put Kelly on my map. And so I'm telling you that to the people that care about them, I know that these aren't data points. They aren't just a little heart. And it felt so good to me because she's so important. And even though she was murdered quite a while ago now, I want her to have a spot. And I want her to be, you know, somebody that you can click on and see her photo and hear her name. And so it just meant the world to me that you did that. And so I know that it just means everything to people to click on there and know, because like you said, there's only a few victims that really get much time in the spotlight, that really get the nation's sympathy. And of course they deserve it as well. But it's like you said, there's this behemoth group of people that also deserve just the love, and that, you know, someone would take the time, like you took your free time off of work and took my friend's pictures, and, you know, it means a lot. And also, I loved what you did with the photos of the Lisk victims, how you revitalized the backgrounds, and you just really gave them so much for us to look at again. Because when you have someone that's passed, you only have so many photos of them. So it's not like you can, you know, keep coming up with new content when you only, especially because before the ages of smartphones, we didn't have a million pictures of ourselves. And so that you did that, you revitalized those photos of the women. And it just meant so much to me just to see, you know, Shannon Gilbert with the beautiful floral background, or Jessica Taylor. You just put them in a new light again. And it also, you brought the beauty surrounding them. That's the beauty inside of them. And so you gave them that background. And I love that you did that. I can't come up with the words to say what that meant to me when I saw it. And then Jay, I guess, yes, you ask the question.
All right. This is going to be something, by the way. If there's a show where I don't cry and the two guests cry, I mean, this is one for the record books. But Shannon N from the CT says, when it's a good time to ask this question, I want to know, what was Raul's first reaction to the arrest of Rex Sherman?
So before I answer Shannon's question, I want to just say that the imagery of, the list victims that I always put out there, that square image with the 3, 6, 9, 9, 12. My brain is fried. Um, a lot of those re-imaging pictures are from somebody else that has, we leverage everybody's talent. We leverage skill set and different things. And this person um, did all of that for me, and or did it on her own and allowed me to appropriate it. And I'm forever blessed by this person, Erica. She was incredible at that, very sensitive to that. And the image of Karen Vergata, formerly
Yes.
Fire Island Jane Doe, came from Lauren.
Lauren
Lauren
redid that. Yes.
reimaged that, and that was so life altering for me. That day changed my life in so many ways that um, a handful of people could ever really know or understand, and few know the truths of it. Like that image right there that you're posting right now. Lauren did such an incredible job of that when she didn't know who that person was, and I just asked her for a favor. And that image to me will forever be what for years was Fire Island Jane Doe. And I don't know if people understand. I'm sure there's many people that do get it, but I doubt that the majority do understand. When you're committed to a doe, a Jane or a John Doe or a baby doe or a toddler doe, all that is a doe. You don't know who this is other than what you formulate in your mind, your vision. And when you begin to see who this person really is, and you're given their name, and then you leverage talents and say, can you enhance this? And you get something like, what Lauren did for Karen Vergata, not only for that picture right there of her school picture, but her her age progression picture, which is my pro forma when I post the pictures of all of the Liz victims. It really takes you through the spectrum of what a human life is, and that's the beauty of advocacy in some way, because everybody has a talent. Everybody has multiple talents. Lauren, of course, we all know is multi-talented in so many ways. She's an in,
Upcoming woman who rocks. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I is it's the 12th, right?
Uh, no, we
Hers
switched.
is,
She was the 12th, which is
she
today.
was the 12th. Now she's the 26th.
She, by the way,
Today's
she
the
by the
12th.
way is here. She said, always happy to enhance victims' images. Honored to help with Karen's my friend. She also said, "Go, I made it. Go, Raul." So she is here watching. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Sorry.
mean, Lauren is just beyond an inspiration. Lauren is a whole other level of inspiration, aspiration, any other kind of nation you can add to it. It's fine. Lauren is all of that. Like, I'm getting tattoos thanks to Lauren today. So,
Oh wow.
I, I mean, yeah. So, I mean,
Exclusive.
Lauren is just absolutely bonkers when it comes to pushing everything. She's just incredible. But, at the end of the day, with envisioning victims from where they were from a composite, and Suffolk County on average sucks when it comes to their composites. They all look alike, and they're not really all that relevant. And to see where we go from a composite to where we go to, a finality or an identification or a name, and learning that person's life is a journey in and of itself, and it's heartfelt, and it's emotional. So, and that's where teams come into play, because everybody plays a part in that. And I'm just, for me to be I've known about Fire Island Jane Doe's discovery of her legs for what feels like a trillion years. You learn about, you know, discoveries along Ocean Parkway, from, Peaches to the skull of Fire Island Jane Doe to Toddler to all the victims along Ocean Parkway. And for me, my progression became an interest in all of this, an interest in who these people were, who these people remain to their loved ones, who these people became meaningful to me as I've gotten to know many of their family members. That carries a weight that is exponentially heavy. Um, um, I feel really heavy, even engaging with any of the family members. To be able to talk with Shannon's sister as frequently as I do is an honor. It's a blessing. It's something I don't take lightly. My interactions with the families of Jessica Taylor or um, Tina Foglia, who's not an official list victim, but a possible list victim. Like, all of these people mean something to me personally. And if I'm just speaking about me personally, I mean, there's over 5,800 people that matter to me clearly on this map. But when it comes to list victims or possible list victims, the these people have impacted my soul, have redirected the course of my life, have changed my perspective on victims, on sex work, on drug use, on advocacy, on victimization, on, I mean, a million other adjectives that, are just profound to my soul. And as an embodied empath, like, I feel the weight of everything all the time. I can cry watching, like I said, SpongeBob. For me to be dealing with stuff of this magnitude or being connected to families, and so close to this, you're honor bound, and I can never take that lightly. And I'm very humbled. I'm very gracious. I'm honored to learn everybody that goes on that map, even if it's an unidentified person from the middle of nowhere that no one's going to reference. For 20 years, I referenced them. I spent 20 minutes doing whatever I can to understand who they were, what their life was like, and what I might be able to do to connect somebody else smarter than me to bringing them home. And I just want to be that conduit. So thank you.
Oh, you're doing an amazing job. So what did you think? What was your first reaction to the arrest of Rex
Oh,
Sherman?
yeah, that was the question, right? All right. So I'm long-winded, and there are many
That's all
people in
right.
my
It's
life
all
that
right.
would tell me I'm very long-winded and to shut the fuck up. But so the day Rex was arrested, well, the day after he was arrested on the 13th. On the 14th, I was actually, I hate admitting this, I was doing my laundry. And at 5:45, I got a message, I got an alert that there was an arrest in the list case. And I said, fuck the dirty underwear. I'm running home. My laptop is away from me, and I need to get to my fucking laptop. Um, Within the span of 4 minutes, I messaged half a dozen people. Uh, and I'm so grateful that they were up, because I was like, I can't handle this shit on my own. Like, this is the culmination of several lives and several decades of time, if you encapsulate it all into like a bubble. Um, and I needed my foundation to be there, and they were. So I literally decided to take all the fucking wet clothes out of the dryer and just say, fuck it. I don't give a shit. There'll be time and enough in a year from now to worry about that shit. But I was absolutely flabbergasted. It was like a smack in the face. And, I've been, as Catch Lisk, so critical of Suffolk County Police Department. I mean, if you go through my Twitter, I mean, every other post is, how can I shame or lambaste or embarrass SEPD? Um, I cooled it off a bit when it came to Harrison for the first 8 months. And then I started to sort of like strike out again. I mean, I got blocked by Rodney Harrison on his Instagram right off the bat within a month, but no big deal. And then, I just started to continue to harass SCPD for their absolute failure, their conscious obstruction, and their ignorance of all things Lisk related. And I hate saying Lisk related because it starts with Shannon Gilbert, and it goes through, Maureen, Megan, Amber, Melissa, and Jessica, and Valerie, and Asian Doe, and Toddler Peaches, etc. And forgive me for leaving any of them out. I'm just trying to spew forth all my info. But, I've never been a proxy for SEPD. I've gone after them every chance that I could. In fact, it became sort of the running joke, like, what am I going to make fun of today? Are they stopping, traffic on, the Southern State Parkway because there's little chickadees that need to cross the fucking highway? Like, a serial killer has killed a dozen people at least, and you're stopping major fucking traffic, rush hour, for some fucking ducklings that need to cross the fucking highway. Like, can we put life into perspective, I'm never gonna forgive them for that. Like, I'm not gonna be apologetic for going after them for that. But when the arrest came, I cried. I mean, I was floored. This is the culmination of not only my work, but so many other advocates before me, way before me, that were public way before me. And, you feel the weight of it all and the camaraderie of it all. And somebody finally did something to catch this motherfucker. Sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry.
Don't
I'm not. And I was floored for it. And within the first 5 minutes, that's when so by 5:50, I already saw the YouTube video that was out there about little, cherubic little Rex Heuermann, the architect. And I'm like, all right, this is interesting, concerning in a weird way, interesting with the hammer, his little
Yes.
ham bullshit, which is why on my map it's all hammers when it comes to his stuff. But it wasn't until I saw his mugshot that I realized we saw the transition from a cherubic little chubby architect that literally transformed in front of us into Lisk. And it's the same face that, people like Carrie could understand, where her dad goes from being her dad to being BTK. And for me to see Lisk in that mugshot, that's all I ever want to see, because that is Lisk. He's not Rex. I don't give a shit about Rex. My thing has always been Lisk, and Rex will forever represent Lisk. Now, granted, it's alleged and he's not convicted, but in my eyes, that from the cherubic little guy sitting in his office to the mugshot, that's not just an innocent man being defensive. That's somebody that practiced his mugshot. That's somebody that practiced his snarl. That is Lisk, the Long Island serial killer, the person responsible for dozens, if not hundreds, of victims.
I
And
mean,
I
just
I
Go ahead.
believe he's prolific.
Yeah, I mean, just his fucking, once we saw those Google searches, it was like, come on. All right. I mean, like you said, we don't know, but I mean, there's just too much. And then the DNA. But anyway, I can't believe it's already been an hour. And we talked about the map the whole time, but I want to get into a little bit. Your link tree has so much stuff. So I kind of, if do you have time? I don't. If you could stay a little bit later, normally we do it for an hour, but if you, I don't want to ask you to stay longer. But if we could go quickly through, like, tell us, like, so the first one we did was the map. Where do you want to go to next? What should we bring up?
I mean, so my submitted comparisons database is just people that, I try to correlate list victims and submit it. So we looked at who Peaches could be, for example, and there were so many people that submitted possibles for who Peaches could be, or Fire Island Jane Doe that's up on the screen. And it Namus is great, but it has faults, and it's only as good as the contributing law enforcement agencies that share that, and that's Stacey Reddish, my soul. Um, but if the law enforcement agencies aren't submitting their information to Namus is, oh God, you're killing me right now.
Oh, sorry,
Ugh.
sorry. All
No,
right.
that's
So,
all good. These people mean so much to me, but with the submitted comparisons database, I figured, let me take everybody that I'm committed to and see not only the submissions that me and fellow advocates have submitted for these people, but whatever I can determine from other possibles. So, like, you look at Peaches and all of the exclusions that you see there. If you look at Peaches's Namus page, there are no exclusions. It's everything that I was able to determine from other submissions that were excluded on their page but not posted on Peaches's page, or Fire Island Jane Doe's page, or Toddler's page. So that's where, the I don't want to say intentional obstruction, but the roadblocks are. So I wanted to create a database where any person, any Joe Schmo, can go and say, all right, I'm going to focus on Fire Island Jane Doe, and and they can already see how many people have been submitted, how many people have been excluded, and how many people are still pending some sort of identification or comparison. So I tried to put in a lot of the database information from NamUs, like, date of last contact, or PMI, which is post-mortal interval, which is, basically how long they've been out there in the elements before, that person right there, that doe, I definitely want to find out who she is. She keeps me up at night regularly. If we can find her, who she is, that would, I mean, I would close up shop. Like, that means a lot to me. But that's what that database is for. It's a matter of trying to maintain a comprehensive, universal, you know, grounding for people to assess who's been submitted, so someone else isn't wasting their time submitting somebody that's already been submitted before. So that's what that database is for. What else you got there, Jay?
you tell me, what do you want me to pull up? I got
I
all
mean,
the.
you can go down the line. Like, the important links, will have just some basic information of how I correlated some research data points, links that meant important, whether it's the, all the depositions in the Shannon Gilbert case, or list victims, things like that. Um, uh, just links that I found helpful, in
Depositions. Look at
whatever.
all the work you've done. This is just mind-boggling.
It's not that big a deal. It's
Oh,
copy and
stop it,
pasting.
Raul. You will admit that it's a lot of work, sir.
It's copy and pasting. It's not that big
Oh,
a deal.
stop it, sir. This is a ton of work, and I want you to admit it live right now. Or all right, but let's go. Let's go. What else do we got here? Look at all this stuff. So we got the list
So
possibility.
this is the one that I'm working on now. So there's two. If you look at the bottom there, there's the confirmed and possibles, but then there's the possible with RH timeline. Click on that second tab, and that's something I've been working on based on what we know about Rex Heuermann's timeline to date, with my list of possibles. So everything starting from Tina Foglia and earlier, but all throughout. And there are a couple of does on there that I'm actively working with, not only with the families, um, but in tandem with law enforcement, and a couple of them I not I have to be careful here. One of them I'm really not going to talk about, but it's on there, and it's a well-known Jane Doe in the New York area who, working with the family and the medical examiners, we've determined who that Jane Doe is. It is not officially announced as of yet because the investigation is vibrant. And even though the case is 38 years old, it's vibrant, and we are praying for some justice for this missing person. And there's another one that is on there that I'm also leveraging contacts and information with to sort of push forward, at least identifying if this missing person is this Jane Doe, and if not, let's get this cold case Jane Doe on the map. Not my map, but on the record, so that there's so many more resources available to this family than just a bald-headed old guy like me, you know, pushing for some advocacy. So, you know, things like this in relevance with Rex. I'm not saying Rex is responsible for any or all of them other than what he's been accused of. I don't know my legal requirements, but I think Rex is significantly prolific. I've said that for many, many years. I've also said that Lisk is a bisexual serial killer, not necessarily driven by being bisexual. But if you look at like somebody like Israel Keys, he's not opposed to killing men or women and has preferences. And I think Lisk is that. Whether that's Rex in totality is to be determined. But the other thing that I saw there was my database on BTK possibles. Once I saw Kerry and Joe and Lauren being part of this BTK cold case task force, I figured let me leverage the information that I had on my map. And I did add a couple of hundred people to that map, which was a lot of work, but it was enlightening to me. And I figured this is what the map is for. Like, if you can put information in there, then you can splice the relevancy and determine what is relevant and what is possible and what isn't. So I came up with a list of people not based on traditional BTK MO, because we know MOs change. But there are many other people on that list that are either, you know, BTK MO or stabbings or shootings or, you know, things like that. So I put it on there because there were similarities in proximity, time frame, slight MOs, potential MOs based on knowledge of Kerry's dad, and that can all be reversed, erased, etc., based on exclusion. So, you know, that's out there, and let people more knowledgeable than me tell me what should come off, and I would take them at their word.
But
People like Kerry I respect, so I immensely adore, and would, she tells me to take something off, they're gone. It's as simple as that.
let's just take a second to realize what he just said, because I don't know if we're all going to take the second to realize it. He said once the task force was started, he started making this, right? So how long ago was that? And look at this not long, folks. And look at the amount of work that this man has put into this. I mean, and he's going to say, "Oh, it's just cut base." This is a lot of fucking work, sir. So I need you to recognize you are a badass and you are crushing the game And everyone in this chat is agreeing with me. If you probably don't have it popped out, but they're all agreeing. You are crushing it, and that's why I'm talking about a creator who crushes. And it's really, Lauren says it was announced around task force was announced around September 11th. So we're about a month out, and this man, in addition to all the other things he's doing, has created this spreadsheet, which is just with all these tabs and all this information that is out there trying to help folks, and it's just inspiring. Babe, I feel like you have. Oh no,
Oh
what
no, did
happened?
we lose him?
We lost him. Uh-oh. He got mad. I was yelling at him. Oh no, there he is.
Yes.
Were you mad I was yelling at you? I'm sorry, Raul. I didn't mean to yell at you.
I'm here. It's all good.
Okay.
I was like, they had it with me. They threw me out.
No,
I'm not
no.
Jabo Nation anymore.
No, you are
No.
Jabo Nation forever, sir. And I put that tweet out there. You are for sure. But I mean, we could keep you here. There's so many links, guys. Make sure you go to the link tree. There's so much useful information here. Like, look at all this stuff. It is, amazing. So let's end it with babe. Babe's got something. Go ahead, babe.
Because I wanted to say, please, will you come back and let's do a show about the BG10, because that needs to be done.
So I would be honored to. The BG10 are very close to me. I get very emotional the second I even hear that reference. And you're literally the first person, Shannon, to say those words back to me, aside from reading it from a few people. I'd love to talk about them. I'd be honored to. I think I found three of them, or we have found three of them. I should be equitable in that acknowledgement. I think three of them have been found, but have been hesitant to acknowledge that. So, wanting to respect their privacy, we can work that out. But yeah, I mean, a 12-year-old girl goes missing and there's not even a picture of her face. Like, it's reprehensible, and there's an obligation to society. So I apologize for talking endlessly. I can
No,
talk forever.
no. Don't you start, Raul. People are all in the chat were like, don't. They were all like, keep talking. So do not apologize for anything. But I want to ask you this, Raul. Let's end it this way. First of all, I just want to say, me and Shannon are so incredibly impressed by you, and everyone in the chat is by all your work. Again, folks, this is not his full-time job. He has a job. This is what he's doing after his job. The dedication for you to do this, and the very evident, the care and the concern and just your empathy shines through, and we appreciate it. What I want to know from you, Raul, is what can people do to the best they could do to get this, beyond, like, I always just I retweet shit. Like, if you're posting stuff, I trust you. I know your stuff is great. I'm going to retweet it. You have the Facebook page, you have the map. What's the best way to like get the information out there to help with these cases?
I think overall, like with the map, you look at what's on the map, and then you go further. So let's say you live in, I don't know, Boise, Idaho. If Boise's in Idaho, let's assume it is. I should know this because I'm like sort of a map guy now. But
It is.
if you live in Boise, Idaho, and you look at the map, and if I have Idaho on the map, which I don't think I do, but if I do, you look at what's in the map or on the map for any particular date. Remember, my map is chronological, so you look at Boise, Idaho, and you look at unidentified, you look at missing, and then you just start extrapolating from there. The person that I submitted the other day was literally because I came across the missing person file, and I added it to the map, and I realized, holy shit, it's the same day that this doe committed suicide, allegedly. And this the stats match. So it takes somebody, and I'm no genius, and you don't need to be a genius, but you need to see the obvious and make those connections, and then just say it, scream it, shout it out loud, get it to the medical examiner, get it to NamUs, get it to the FBI, get it to whoever needs to hear it, because somebody out there deserves to be found or named. I was tagged in a Facebook post the other day saying, you know, could this person be this person? And there's so many negative comments. The neck doesn't match, the nose doesn't match, the ears. The fucking pictures aren't aligned. Like the perspectives are different, the lighting is different. Submit them, because you know what? The missing person deserves to be looked at. The unidentified person deserves to be looked at. Make the fucking matches, take the time to connect the dots, and if it doesn't work, then somebody, most likely both of those points, those persons, are now on the record of being submitted to being matched, and they could be matched in the future. And just take your time and do it. Do the right thing. So again, I apologize. I'll come back whenever.
Oh no, it happened again.
We lost him.
Babe, stop hanging up on him. What are you doing?
I don't have that capability.
Are you sure?
Meow. Pretty sure.
Gary, it was you?
Meow.
No, it wasn't you, Gary?
He's back.
Sorry.
That's
I know I talk too goddamn much. Like,
no, you don't,
like,
sir.
shut
We
the
will
fuck
have
up.
you on whenever you want to come on. We'll definitely do the show Shannon was talking about for sure, but hopefully we could talk about other stuff because, I mean, this has been just amazing, and I could see in the chat that people are just loving it. Babe, did you have any final thoughts?
Just thank you for being you.
No, thank you you guys for giving a platform for like advocates like me that like really do give a damn, and have to overcome so much to even be acknowledged to giving a damn. Like there are people like me that really do care, and there's no reason for it other than caring. Like that's it. And I'm done speaking.
So, J-Bo Nation, show him the love on Twitter. Again, I've been sharing the link, but like I should probably say, just in case, people can't, if they're watching on a replay, it's catch_LISK on Twitter. And right there is the link tree in his bio. So like if you ever want the link tree, it's right there. There's a ton of useful stuff there.
He has more stuff than what we went over tonight.
Way more. We would be here for another day or two if we just the amount of work this man puts into this is really above and beyond. So this case, when I close the stream, it's going to go to Publicly Buzz. They have a show tonight, so go in there and like it. But make sure you're following Catch Lisk on Twitter. Make sure you're checking out the link tree. And I think that's it. Thank you so much. Again, this is the inaugural Creators Who Crush, and really, bro, you crushed the fucking game. Thank you so much for being on here with us. Any final words, Ro?
I'm going to have a 4-finger double of Knob Creek bourbon in honor of you guys, your show, and the multitude of people that need advocacy. So thank you. I'm so honored and blessed.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us, J-Bo Nation. Please give all of yourselves an ovation. No, it won't be real long until next time. Oh, J-Bo Nation, there's no place we'd rather be. J-Bo Nation is the place to 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 be.